Golden State Warriors have lost 2 in a row and dropped from the top of the Western Conference. And while you can chalk this up to the inevitable ebbs and flows of a typical NBA season, over the last 12 games, their offensive efficiency has plummeted, ranking 25th during the time span. Of course, this drop has coincided with a significant dip in Steph Curry's shooting numbers across the board. While it really hasn't affected their overall record, their defense remains completely elite. Whenever Steph Curry, of all people, struggles with shooting the basketball, we should all take note. While his issues aren't limited to distance shooting from beyond the arc, it makes sense that we start there. At 38.8% overall, it would be the lowest percentage he's ever shot in a full season by 3 points. And in his last 4 games, his percentage has sunk to 28.9%. It's clear Curry has been trying to push the envelope for 3-point attempts year over year. And if we compare his 3-point frequency to years past, it's taken a significant leap. Perhaps we've found the breaking point for how many threes he should be taking, leading to lower than elite percentages. But we have to examine this more closely, since not all threes are the same. The catch and shoot variety are clearly not cut from the same cloth as off the dribble. As you can see, he's at the highest frequency of his career for pull-ups, but it hasn't really hurt his percentage, as 39.2% is in line with his past performance on these types of shots. What really stands out to me is that out of the last 7 years, he's taken the 3rd highest frequency of catch and shoot shots, yet the percentage is way below his normal production. And over the past 4 games, check the splits. He's drastically reduced the number of pull-up shots, primarily because defenses are either trapping him outright on the pick and roll, and Curry will always make the right play by hitting the short roll and letting the offense operate at an advantage without him, usually generating positive results. Or the defense will effectively switch to not give him any breathing room coming around the screen, and as a result, he hasn't been able to find more off the dribble threes. We did see some evidence against Dallas of their willingness to get beat, inviting Curry into the area inside the 3-point line by getting on his side or almost behind him to prevent the 3-ball, knowing there's backside help to contest anything near the hoop. This is certainly an interesting approach and in line with the new zone defense I invented recently that's predicated on playing behind the ball handler. Over the last 6 games, Curry's catch and shoot frequency has shot way up, yet his percentage has dropped to 25%. Already at a career low on catch and shoots, this has to be the most concerning aspect to his shooting, as these are usually the most open shots he gets. And when a player is slumping, it makes sense to get more of the easy ones off. But one thing I've noticed is that when he balloons his feet out on the way down from his jump, these shots tend to miss. We've seen Klay Thompson have this issue in the past when he hasn't been shooting well, as both these guys have better balance and energy transfer when they keep their feet parallel and legs together on the way down. It's possible it's a result of Curry realizing he's short and it's his body's way of trying to influence the shot after the release. Even off the dribble we see this, and on this one you can see an almost imperceptible pause at his set point. Normally that ball never stops from the gather to the release, and as a result it's short. His body knows it, and there go the legs separating on the way down. From an X's and O's standpoint, the bread and butter of the Warriors offense is the low post split, but Steph has barely gotten any 3-point shots out of this action recently. Part of this is because Draymond has missed a couple of games, but in the flow of their organic offense, they run this action without calling it, and so I suspect Coach Kerr will need to get involved and make sure players hit that post position early and the pass gets down there quickly so they can put defenses in impossible positions again, including Curry coming around for the 3. They've got variations of this I love, like Curry setting a curl screen first that distracts his man for a split second before Looney can rub his man off just enough, and the pass is coming from the angle of the basket, making it easier for alignment on the catch, which is important especially when going to his right. On this low post split, notice how Curry hesitates for a second before shooting. He was open, at least for him, and yet he has the yips. He does it again on this pick and pop, where he's clearly more open than when he actually shoots it, yet hesitated before releasing, throwing the whole mechanism and rhythm off. One more thing. On his Harden-style step back, he's struggling to get the footwork down properly, and yet the refs are letting him get away with it. He ends the dribble with both hands on the ball here with the left foot down. The right step then becomes the pivot foot, which he lifts, then puts back down before jumping into the shot. On this angle, it's this moment when the dribble ends here. Left foot down, and then a right, left, right, which should be called a travel. Against Dallas, he does the same thing with an even more overt snatch of the ball to end the dribble with the left foot down, then steps right, left, right. He doesn't do this all the time, mind you. When he gathers later with the right foot down, he then takes his legal left-right into the jump. It's a smoother move and more mechanically sound, so he should just do this one going forward. I spend more time than most other people analyzing shot mechanics, and if you'd like me to analyze your shot, then check out Expert X. You send in video footage of your shot and I'll personally break it down for you as if we were together on the court. Hit that link in the description. Over the course of a season, I'm not concerned with the issues we're seeing from Curry's three-point shooting. There's enough evidence to prove to me that he'll figure out how to overcome the physicality, base guarding, double teams, and junk defenses teams will throw at him. One interesting stat is his effective field goal percentage when he's on the floor with Draymond Green. Look at the difference between this year and last. I have to imagine that this too will also regress to the mean, as Green and Curry's Wonder Twin powers will ultimately activate. What's of bigger importance are his struggles around the rim. What had separated him from any other guard in his generation was the lethal mix of distance shooting with absolute elite finishing in the lane. And when I compared the numbers from this season to his MVP years, I almost fell off my chair. As teams have clearly tried to limit the amount of threes, they're practically forcing him into the lane to shoot shots. One change is how the referees are calling the game this year. A lot more contact by the defense is being allowed, and clearly Steph is suffering because of it. Not that he ever got a ton of free throws anyway, but his free throw rate is the lowest it's been since 2010-2011. Either he'll have to figure out a way to finish through this kind of contact, or look to make a play for a teammate on more of these, or else risk a depressed field goal percentage. Another thing I noticed, however, was that the issues were much more prominent on his lefty finishes. In the past, he treated us to insane displays of skill with that offhand, but this year, and in the last 5 games or so in particular, he struggled mightily to make shots with that hand. It's possible he's banged up a bit, and the feel on that hand isn't 100%. So I'd expect once that's better, he'll hit more of these. But he also struggles when extending his last step into the jump. This bound step is very difficult to load off of and get into the air, and you can see his struggles to get enough height to make these shots makeable. He does this same bound step when shooting right-handed shots, and these go in much more often. So I imagine he'll be in the gym working on that right leg bound, improving that left hand feel, and over the course of the season, you should see this percentage creep up. Add to that the return of Klay Thompson, who will most likely be a shell of himself for a while after 2 years of injuries, but ultimately should take more focus off of Curry and create a few more open shots for him per game. And I am confident by the end of the year, the thought of Curry breaking threes and shots at the rim will be just a memory. And if that's the case, we'll be watching him light it up in June.